So the new BBC boss is reportedly requesting that there will be more balance between left and right, and progressive and conservative within the comedy shows that it provides. And basically, the new BBC boss is saying that there should be more right-wing comedians compared to the left-wing progressive comedians. And yeah, which might be fair, because if you look at a comedy show, no matter where you come from, whether it is BBC or the American TV networks or the Japanese TV stations, well, probably not the Japanese TV stations, because Japanese TV do not carry political comedy. Not at all. Not at all. That's something that I'm complaining all the time here in Japan. But they don't listen. I mean, the Japanese TV producers covers chickens when it comes to political comedy. But anyway, having said that, in typical comedy situation, you do have overrepresentation of the left progressive wing, and you do not have really too many right-wing or conservative comedians. That's true. So when the BBC boss comes into the job and says we should have more right-wing comedians, well, that makes sense in a way, because after all, every public broadcaster should be balanced in its political views, isn't it? So, well, we should probably have more right-wing comedians. But the problem is there are not enough right-wing comedians around. Isn't this funny? I mean, for example, if you think about Charlie Chaplin, he famously made a film titled The Dictator, which ridiculed Adolf Hitler at the time. Of course that was left-wing. Of course that was progressive. But, if you think about it, comedy is about, making a protest against the status quo, the powers that be. There's no other role to comedy. When you think about comedy from cognitive science point of view, comedy is about recognizing the inherent power structures that actually dominate our life, and kind of deconstruct that structure and make us more free and flexible and equal. That's the whole, purpose of comedy. So when the BBC boss says we should have more right-wing comedy, that makes sense on the surface, but deep down, that doesn't make sense at all, because comedy and right-wingness, or comedy and conservatism do not go well together, because that's not comedy. Comedy is about questioning the power structure that be. Comedy is about, standing with those people who are marginalized in society. Comedy is about uncovering the hypocrisy, if you like, of the majority of people. So that's what comedians do. So this has been a kind of a comedy, hasn't it? I mean, because the BBC boss comes in and he says, "It's a he, isn't it?" I mean, I'm not sure about this person's gender. It's a he. Okay, assuming it's a he. He says, "Hey, we should have more right-wing comedians." Oh, that makes sense on the surface. But deep down, when you really think long and hard about the functions of comedy, it doesn't make a bloody sense at all. Well, so there are not enough good right-wing comedians. Yeah. That's true, because comedy is not about using this genre as a means to oppress people. Comedy is not a means to suppress the minorities from the point of view of the majority. Comedy is not a tool to be used by the powers that be. I mean, comedy is about deconstructing all these majority powers that be, infrastructure. So it's no wonder the BBC boss will have a really hard time finding good old right-wing comedians because quite simply there aren't any.